All right, welcome back to the AM show. Time for us to get into what the papers are reporting and also to do with matters arising. But first, MFA Kosuadeti is standing by the smart wall with what is being reported this morning. Hi.
Yes, Kujo. Yes, quickly. I do this very sharply so that you can get into the matters arising.
It's like today you just want to bounce off the screen. Why?
Yeah. Because there's a lot to be done. There's so much you have to do today, Kojo. Yeah. There's so much you have to cover. So I need to make sure that you have enough time to cover all of it.
Hair looks beautiful.
Thank you so much. It's from Hair's Alamode.
Hair's Alamode.
Yes.
Where can I locate Hair's Alamode?
Nana Chrome. Well, no, Nana Chrome is a bit. It's Legon Hills. Anyway, let me just bring you what's happening in front of the newspapers. Kojo, no, not today. Let's start with the Daily Gist. And of course, lenses on the NPP presidential race. And it says that Bawumia tipped to win. I guess it will be the Global Info Analytics, Kojo, because they have released the quite recent polls and say that they're tipping Bawumia to win. And as well, the same paper is reporting how Kennedy goes dirty after NPP peace deal. I'm not sure about the dirt, but I recall that there were some body languages when we crossed over. And his concern is that he wants Clause 2 in that peace pact that they are signing removed. Now, what's Clause 2? It says that every candidate will be bounded or binded by the results. And he says that it's not the best that he wants. He wants it amended and altered. That is by miracles anyway. I'm not sure if these were his words exactly, but he wasn't too happy with that one because he says they haven't also introduced what they will do about election irregularities, which he thinks is a major concern. I
heard the chairman of the committee say that the EC had already assured all of them that any polling station that records irregularities, they would announce the results.
And take it again.
And well, he didn't add it, but he says the EC says they will announce those kind of results. So,
yeah. Okay, well, so in some electoral area coordinators as well support Bawumia. This one will excite you, Kujo. Government to reactivate Media Development Fund that was initiated some time ago. It's gone quite dormant, but they are reactivating it to at least support media houses.
It's good. I hope in there we'll talk about skills development.
Okay.
Because in-service training is vital.
Yeah.
Media persons would have to be given training to sharpen their skills. We are in an evolving world.
Spot on, Kujo. Spot on. So yesterday we brought the live telecast of the 23rd anniversary of First Sky Group. And even before that, they drew our attention to the fact that they are building a 50 megawatt solar power in Yendi. And that's a good one. Congratulations to First Sky Group. Daily Graphic this morning will fight for welfare, dignity of Ghanaians abroad. The foreign minister has been speaking. The details of that story is on page 13 of the Daily Graphic. And DVLA introduces reforms such as your lenses, your roadworthiness would expire on your birthday.
Why must it expire on my birthday?
But there must be a date it would expire on, isn't it?
You don't choose my birthday.
Why not? Because that will give you an apt reminder.
No, but the birthday is when I should be happy. You
so
don't,
if it's
you don't have to remind me about my inspiration. Because that day, I need to spend it with family and friends.
Okay. But it reminds you, so at least a day after you can go and you can save some money to go.
But he says it expires on that day.
Well, it also says that they have registered about 10,000 earth-moving equipment. They've been adding that to some of the things that they have done. Story is on page 13 of the Daily Graphic. And pay 1 billion Ghana cedis to retired soldiers. It's gratuity arrears. And the CI 129 President's Director called that amendment that allows military personnel to at least still stay a little longer before they retire. And the idea is to have the experienced ones as well stay in the service for a while. That is what he's been talking about.
What happened on that day?
Sorry.
Kofi Kinata performed.
He did, and he loves Kofi Kinata.
Yeah. But who doesn't love him?
Yeah.
Okay, I've not introduced lawyer. If I had, I would have asked.
You asked the When you get the chance, please do. The Ghanaian publisher, Bawumia, pledges grassroots inclusion and leads with 57 in latest polls. Story is on page 3 of the Ghanaian publisher. However, NPP needs kind-hearted Kenny Japan. Natoshi as well has been speaking. Story is on page 2 of the Ghanaian publisher. And media critical to economic research. BOG, the governor has been speaking. And as well, the Ghanaian publisher is advertising number 3 for the former vice president, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Okay, we'll take you to the Daily Guide.
Ish. That's a huge story.
Which one of them?
Ghana Health Service driver busted. Oh, the GHS is the different one.
Which one? No.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Busted with narcotics.
Happened in the Volta region. He's still in custody, by the way, and they are investigating the matter. Yeah.
Wow.
It's on page 6. Details of that is on page 6 of the Daily Guide, Kojo. And they're just reminding you, all candidates who want to be the NPP's flag bearer, pictures of them in front of the Daily Guide, and polls as well, tip Bawumia to win NPP race. And also, if you've been following the SkyTrain matter, it's also moved forward quite procedurally. If you're interested, it's on page 3 of the Daily Guide this morning. And today you helped me, you taught me how to say, what?
Jacobu. I hear people mention Jacobu.
So what is it called?
Jacobu.
Jacobu,
Yeah.
right. That's the community that Galamseyers and police clash and one dead. We brought you that story in the intro. It will be on the table today. Why civilians think that they have to attack police officers is in there. Kojo will do justice with that. We'll take you to myjoyonline.com.
Did you do BNFT?
You have it on your table. Okay. So the Ghana cedi's best performing currency in Africa for 2025, IMF.
They should spare us.
Really? Why not? Why would you want them to spare? This is good news.
It is. But hold on, we know. Don't tell us. Because see,
until you exit, they have a right to be telling you what they want.
Anytime they come here to do, Ghana's economy is the best performing economy. Do you remember what happened to us after they came to say that our economy was the more fast?
What happened?
See where we went to.
Because they said it.
So
they should
keep quiet. We want to hide.
Well, don't mind, Kojo. Please take a read. It's on myjoyonline.com. And I'm sure, Kojo, you're going to be touching on this one. Fire sweeps through mechanic shops at Suffolk Line and destroys over 100 vehicles. You and your guest will talk about it, why this constant fire outbreaks. Will revisit it as well. A lot more stories on myjoyonline.com. You can just go there, surf, and then take a read, Kojo.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
So that's MFA Kosiadeti there. Let's come in studio now and introduce to you our guests who've joined us this morning. Lom Nuku Alija is lawyer, lecturer at GIMPA and an energy consultant. The name is so sweet, huh? Hi, Alija. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's good.
Yes, I'm fine. How about you?
I'm well. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And then our mother, Auntie Victoria Bride, lawyer and entrepreneur. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, same here.
And
same here.
I promise you, Vivi will come, yeah?
I hear you.
All right, let's get into the issues, but start with what happened in Suffolk Line, because we woke up to the story that the fire, which started at 7 p.m. yesterday night, raised several hundreds of vehicles and also destroyed several properties in the process. Why do we keep recording these things? Is it that we are not aware of our environment? Because we are told this is possibly as a result of someone who was trying to burn some rubbish. Let me start with you, Alija, on this one.
Well, to be honest, anytime I hear stories about fires, I just feel a bit frustrated. Highly frustrated, because these are things that should not happen.
Okay.
We keep seeing them happening in the markets, whether it's Kantamanto Circle, as you said, in this case, Suffolk Line and so on. But it's a no-brainer. It's not something that should keep reoccurring, because it's exactly the same story. Now, for example, in other places, what do? How different is the infrastructure, or how different is the systems that they put in place in these kinds of congested places? A lot of it has to do with what you do in advance.
But do they have such places in other jurisdictions?
Absolutely.
They do?
Of course, because
they have garages like we do have here.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes, because we are not only talking about the developed world, even in the developing world, but any place that is a place for commercial activity and business, even as Ghanaian law requires, there must be some key safety features in place. And these are not even expensive things to put in place. Having a fire extinguisher, for example, as we all should, even in our vehicles, and I'm sure if the police or DVLA do some spot checks, some of us will be found wanting this one. But it's basic. If you're in a commercial location, a place where you service the public, there are things that you should put in place. Even access to water. I'm sure I saw the story earlier this morning about challenges with places with and so on. So it shows that we are in this situation because there are some institutional fractures. There are gaps in the way we organize ourselves and so on. And I'm sure in certain respects, you might even tie it to lack of resources and so on. But I think that it shouldn't be, because it keeps happening so many times that when it happens, it becomes as if we are not even consciously putting in place any measures to deal with them. Tomorrow, if we come back and sit down and have another conversation about another fire, I will not be surprised. It means that we are not putting in place the right structures.
So I think last week or so there were fires in Greater Accra.
Yes, there was fire in Greater Accra. I believe there was also one in that was Circle. There was a Circle fires recently as well. And I think even recently, I also heard about another one in the markets in the Bono region and so on. So again, as I said, a lot is happening in this front. Now, who are the players in the space? One of them, for example, is the Ghana Fire Service. Are we seeing significant public education from the fire service about how to deal with fires and its related matters? I'll say no. But I don't know the numbers and what kind of budgetary allocation perhaps they have been given to support public education. Because if all the funding that goes to an institution like that is towards what happens when there's a fire, by that time it means the occurrence has already happened. And now we are fighting to basically see if we can salvage property and lives and so on. But the bigger investment should go into prevention, which is what can be done to prevent things like this from happening. Because you just mentioned that, for example, this was triggered by somebody trying to, yes, we are told. Now, everybody, one way or the other, has maybe tried to burn something, even at home. Maybe you have some rubbish that you want to keep, or maybe some confidential documents you don't want to put in the trash and so on. But the thing is that, have we had enough education, public engagements to show that if you want to do this kind of burning, pay attention to these factors. If you are doing it at this kind of place, pay attention to that factor and so on. And so for me, it begs the question how we keep coming back to this same, topic, and it seems as if nothing is changing. And I would entreat an institution like the Ghana Fire Service to do more in terms of public education. Then beyond that, and beyond this particular location, as I said, when it comes to the fires and the recurring nature of these fires in those kinds of places, there needs to be proper structures put in place, including even just installation of water sprinklers like we have in other places. But the fires happen, the markets burn down. The next day we see, shop owners quickly build up, and then next month we hear another fire again. It doesn't make sense. We can't continue like this. And for me,
let's try and bring in Doc, but let's take you to Kumasi to get more on this particular development by bringing in Adwimpahene Kofi Mensah. He is a journalist with our sister station in Shore FM in Kumasi. Adwimpahene, thank you for joining us. What do we still have Adwimpahene on the line? Okay. When we do get him, we'll bring him back so we can have a chat on what happened at Sofo Line in the Kwadaso municipality of the Ashanti region. But lawyer, for you, I mean, when I heard it, I was thinking about insurance. Are these vehicles, for example, that have been burned down, insured? How do the people who have been affected get back their lives back? But what is the fundamental thing that is lacking? Lawyer Mr. Alija has really said a lot, but to you, what is lacking that always we have to be reporting some of these things?
We have to report some of these fires, and it's very heartbreaking when you keep seeing the same thing and nothing changes, essentially. So for me, they've become systemic failures. Somewhere, somehow, something has broken down along the line. So I see them as systemic failures. Poor electrical wiring, we've heard so much about that. Congestion in these markets. I'm not even sure there are fire hydrants there in the markets.
Some people even build on the fire hydrants.
Yes, yes. And it's just weak enforcement of whoever it is that enforces any law and order in these markets. So it's doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. So of course we don't get the different results. And people, human error as well. People are doing their own things. I remember the last time we discussed fire issues, we were told people are actually cooking. They've done all these illegal connections and cooking food and all sorts of with their gas cylinders and all sorts of things. So I think all these things cumulatively contribute to these fires. I mean, the whole place is when you go to these markets, they are literally congested. Sometimes you only have this kind of width to walk through, the very congested ones. So it's something has to be done. The fire service needs to do more education, and the authorities need to go there and enforce these things. Because if you don't, we'll keep having the same things. And if it's unfortunate, I mean, look at the Circle fire next to the Guelph filling station. Look at the destruction because you had the additional compounding element of having a filling station next door. So it's something that has to be addressed once and for all. We can't keep going on like this and then sit here and go, ow, ow. As you said, cars, are they even insured? And if they are not insured, then, what are these people going to do? Human lives, people die in these fires all the time. And so I say enough is enough. We have to tackle it as a problem and stop saying ow, ow whenever they happen.
But what must happen for this cycle to change? It happens, we'll come here, we'll say it mustn't happen again. Then it keeps happening. So what must really happen for this cycle to break? I
think the mayors or MCs, DCs, the fire service, the government, the police, I think they have to form some kind of task force or something and actually sit down and come up with a comprehensive solution to these fire issues. Because we talk about it and, but I've never heard of a concerted effort from all the stakeholders coming together, including some of the market queens and whatnot, to actually come together to tackle it once and for all as a serious problem, because we treat them as isolated incidents when they happen. And as you say, we sit here, we talk and talk and talk about the same old things. But I think the time has come for us to tackle this as a problem, a national problem, because human lives, Ghanaian lives are precious, they matter. And people keep dying, and people's, livelihoods, everything. In some cases, it is literally everything they have is in that store, and that's heartbreaking. And so we really can't keep seeing these things and just lamenting about them and carrying on the next day. By, within a month, everybody would be going about their business. The structures would have been replaced, and then the cycle repeats itself. So we need a concerted effort, I think.
Must we take it away from, say, the national focus and localize them, such that we make it a priority to the local assemblies to say, make sure these fires do not break out. For example, markets are decongested, structures are in place such that even if there's a fire, the fire service could have, an easy way to go through. Must we make it a local problem and not a national problem?
That's why I said the MCEs and the mayors. So I think the local element is very important. But from the other side, you also need the regulatory element, which is where the police and people like that come in. But yes, for me, definitely, you need to have the local element there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I totally agree with Vicky. It is both a local and a national focus. You can't separate the two. The reason is because, for example, the fire service is a national institution. So their remit covers the entire country. Set up by statute, they have the mandate to focus on fires. And that's why they have their regional and district offices and so on. Of course, when you take the municipalities, the metros and so on, they have, of course, the mayors, the district chief executives, municipal chief executives. they can focus on their local areas. And they have mandate for things like markets, who they'll give authorization to put up or put kiosks and so on, which means that they control how the community should be organized. And that will impact access to locations, for example, for fire service to go in and kill some fire and so on, which means that there needs to be coordination between the local and the national. Of course, the National Fire Service also has district offices, or they will have several offices within some districts, some constituencies, and so on, which means that there should be local coordination, even though it is a national institution. So it is not like that particular district needs to wait for instructions from Accra, because they have some fire service stations within their locality, and they have to coordinate with them in terms of their planning. Even at the regional level, the regional security councils, they also have coordination as far as all security and related matters are concerned, including fire, which means that every region must have a plan, every district must have a plan, every small community must have a plan built on some coordination between the national and the local. So it is a collaborative effort.
Maybe my question should be, must we make it a KPI to measure these MMDCs on?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The whole year we didn't record maybe fire because of this and this that you did.
Absolutely. Because you recall that, let's say even in recent years, several of the big fires we've had, they've been reports by the fire service, where they've actually come out with what triggered the fire, what caused it, what should have been done, recommendations and all of that. We can't keep having reports and recommendations. Those recommendations need to be executed, put into action. And so, we are, for example, going to measure it at the district level, it means that those districts should have incorporated those recommendations from various reports on how to structure their markets, ensure their exits, their entry, their exits, ensure that there's a fire tender built into the design where, for example, when the National Fire Service bring their vehicles, they're able to still access the hydrants, things like that. It means that how you even design a market, how you design your community, how you do your planning, the spatial planning of your communities, where to locate what, all of that has to be thought through, which is why I agree with Vicky that it is a multi-sectoral thing as well. Not only national, local, it is also multi-sectoral. So you must engage various stakeholders because their input will ensure that we have a blueprint. And this blueprint, once developed, can be used by every municipality, every district. You simply need to basically adopt it for your area. So you know that if I'm setting up a market, there should be these elements in there. There should be hydrants positioned in a certain way. Looking at the size of the market, the number of hydrants and so on. There should be fire extinguishers put there. If you have structures of a certain kind, maybe there should be sprinklers and so on. Because it is the prevention that will really save lives and save money. Because your earlier question about insurance is about finances. How do we pay for all these things? Because we've had countless times when people have essentially lost their entire livelihoods because some people are even keeping their cash in their stores. And it interests you also to know that in terms from a regulatory point of view, we already have the laws for these things. It is there. It's not like we need to now put in place new laws and so on. If you're a commercial business, you're running a place commercially, you need to put in place certain minimum things. And fire service needs to give you a certificate indicating that indeed you have met those requirements. And because you have met those requirements, we can, like people who come to that establishment should feel confident that if anything happens, there will be some recourse, either even if it's loss of life or loss of property. And these are things that keep happening. So we can't keep going back to them, which is why I say we need to collaborate at the national level, at the local level, and multi-sectorally so that all the players who need to make an input into these kinds of things do so. And then we set a model that every district, every municipality should follow. And then we can measure mayors and district chief executives and municipal chief executives on it. Because if this is the standard, you have been made aware of the standard, and you have been given the KPI to ensure that you meet it. Then if you don't meet it, then obviously there should be a way to deal with people who are not able to achieve that.
Most insurance companies also take interest in this, in how, for example, so for line like this, how they organize themselves. Because if I'm an insurance company, all the damages will probably be on me. And as we say, prevention is better than cure. So must they also take interest in how these artisans or even traders, go about how they place their stores, whether or not they have fire extinguishers and all of that? Should insurance companies bother about those?
Yes, indeed, they should. Because at the end of the day, they will be the ones paying out, and it affects their bottom line. And, on a large scale, it even affects all of us in sense of the economy and all of that. If there are massive claims all over the place consistently, it can eventually affect everyone in that sense, at that macro level. But I think the insurance companies should take a keen interest on this. And whatever task force or whatever grouping or whatever solutions that are being put together, I think they need to be part of that, because I see them as stakeholders. I was talking earlier about stakeholders in this thing, and I think they're an important stakeholder in this thing, whether it's the regulations, enforcement, or whether it's a redesigning of the markets, or whether it's accountability. I think, yes, definitely.
If I may just add something to that. So it is very important that the insurers are in the conversation. And one of the reasons is because the insurers actually will give you basically standards to meet before they will insure you.
Yeah.
So the point I was coming to is that it is possible that some of these, let's say, informally organized groups may not qualify for the insurance.
Okay.
And what it takes to qualify, they may not be willing to do it. And that's where perhaps, again, some regulation or enforcement needs to come in, because if the insurance company will not insure you because you are not meeting minimum safety standards, which will include some of the things we've already talked about, they won't proceed.
Okay.
And then you need to do it before you can pay your premium and be given your policy.
Yeah.
So in this case, it means that if they will not proceed because they are not willing to meet those standards, we are putting Ghanaians at risk, because all these kinds of locations are there all over the country and people visit them every day and anything can happen there. So there needs to be enforcement to make sure that whether you are a properly organized garage like maybe Silver Star, any of those, or you are informally where it is essentially mechanics that have come together to, they need to all have some minimum standards. Otherwise, even insurance will not cover it.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that the insurance point is actually a wider point, because as a nation, we are all underinsured in this country. A lot of people don't have basic, like, home insurance. All the cars, because of DVLA, they are forced to do it.
Yeah.
And they will do the minimum, So it's something that should actually be
I have one
talked about.
If, for example, because of they are not able to do the things to get them insured, but I have my car fully insured and it gets bent in this inferno, will I still be able to claim, or because of where it got bent?
Oh, no, you will be able to, you will be able to claim,
can.
yes. Because that will depend on your policy.
Okay.
Yes.
Fire definitely be one of those that are covered.
If you do comprehensive, for example.
Yes.
It covers everything.
Yes,
Definitely.
And even if you just do third-party fire and theft, the fire is in there.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that's the minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on and talk about the Jacobu incident, because according to the police, the Ashanti Regional Police Command is investigating an incident in which a Jacobu District Patrol team was attacked by a group of civilians at Bepo Tintin Sukum while carrying out routine duties. The incident occurred on 23rd January 2026 when officers recovered a pump-action gun from a 15-year-old boy and instructed him to inform the owner to report to the police station with the proper document. While returning from patrol, the team was confronted by a crowd of approximately 100 individuals blocking the road, armed with cutlasses and firearms. The group assaulted officers and seized a service rifle. In the resulting confrontation, the assailant who had taken the weapon was shot by police and another was injured. The service rifle was successfully recovered. The police command would like to once again caution the public against attacks on our officers, since perpetrators will be pursued and arrested to face the full rigors of the law. Grateful that we have a lawyer here to help us, and I'm sure Ms. Alija is also a lecturer of the law, right? Yes. Do you have Esquire to the day?
Yes, both of us actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, Esquire is just standard. So.
Oh, that's fine. So that's, some law lecturers aren't Esquires, but probably have PhD.
Okay, no. So I'm a lawyer as well.
You're a lawyer.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yes. So let me start. I started the other one with you. Let me start with Vicky on this one. Vicky, I mean, in the morning I was saying that, if you're a civilian, you have no right to take a rifle from the police officer. Was that right?
Oh yes, I mean absolutely. What business do you have in trying to wrestle a service gun from a police officer? Okay. It's an offence.
So what do you mean this incident? I mean, the guy who took the rifle was shot.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't believe it when I was watching the video. Have we gotten to this stage in this country? People feel they can do whatever they want, especially in connection with this Galamsey issue. It's really become a bane of our society. And I am sick and tired of all these Galamseyers. It's too much. Enough is enough. They have to be stopped once and for all. Because why would 100 people try to overpower the police? I mean, the fact that there's no fear, there's no respect for the law. They are just running amok, doing whatever they want to do, and actually they must have believed that they could get away with it. It's the mindset that I'm very concerned about, that kind of mindset, because it sets us back as a nation. These Galamsey people, they really have gone too far. And they have to be stopped because they are destroying everything, including, even the very moral fabric of our society. Why would people just come out and attack the police, just like we had with the military late last year? Yeah. I mean, it's just taking a trajectory which is very, very dangerous, and it has to be stopped. And the police must continue to act decisively and deal with these people. They have to understand that this is not acceptable. What were the police doing? They were just doing their job. Yeah. They were just patrolling the area. And they are entitled to do so. They are the police of Ghana. They are Ghana police. So what business do you, a civilian, have to go there and then charge on them and then try to wrestle? I mean, what is the point of taking the gun? I don't understand. What was he hoping to gain by grabbing the gun? So that what? He'll be celebrated by his peers, or so that he can keep it in the Galamsey site and now be using it against people. But that kind of mindset, I mean, what kind of naivety is that?
But we should also look at
it's total foolishness
of the young boy who was carrying the pump action gun. 15-year-old boy.
Can you imagine? A 15-year-old child who should be in school carrying a pump action gun. I mean, what business do you have carrying a gun? So this is what I'm saying, that this Galamsey is destroying everything, from our kids' futures to education, to our health, to the water, to everything. It's like a scorched earth approach to life. They are literally destroying everything in their wake, and all because of greed. That is it. Greed in somebody's pocket. That is it. So really, I think that whatever we've been doing, we need to up our game. We need to up our game because they are doing just that. They are doing just that. We cannot have a situation where civilians are overpowering the military, first of all, or the police, or even thinking that they can do so. We can't continue like this. We really can't. A 15-year-old child. 15.
So that owner must be fished out.
Absolutely.
Made to face the laws.
Yes, and we need to know how he came about, holding that gun. Who is the owner of the gun? Is it licensed? And if it's an illegal arm, then that's another, level altogether. No. This is not acceptable at all. It has to be stopped.
I like the point about the greed, because even the people, the chiefs, for example, who give land to these people, sometimes not even the chief himself, but a Busha Penny or a family head, giving these lands to the people, is usually about what they get into your pocket now, without thinking about tomorrow. Whether the environment bends or what, they only think about today.
Yes, burn everything.
They live in today and not tomorrow, So for you, just hearing that this guy was shot, and I keep asking myself, aren't these galamseys taking advantage of the public discussion about unemployment? There are no employment, and that's why these people are taking advantage. Aren't they saying that, okay, hold on, the debate is not political, so let's take advantage of that and do what we can? Well, at the end of the day, the two main political parties will fight with each other to say, you haven't created jobs, and that's why Galamsey is booming.
Yeah. Well, it's fair to make that point, because there should be some things that are non-negotiable. In other words, it doesn't matter the number of political parties we have in Ghana. There are certain things that everybody should be on the same page about.
Yeah.
And one of them is Galamsey, really, to be honest, because the way Galamsey affects the country we have not even begun to understand it, because even a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades away from our generation, we will see that the impacts of what's happening today related to Galamsey will continue to affect Ghana. Now, this story comes at a time when, for instance, the Small Arms Commission is doing the campaign on return of weapons, the gun amnesty.
It ends at a certain point. They say if it
absolutely
ends, we have not brought it.
Yes, because the reason why it is a campaign is because it's an amnesty period. So basically, at this time, there will be no consequence for you to bring a weapon that you are returning, which is not licensed, it's illegal, illegally manufactured, and so on. But the time will come for enforcement. That's what the amnesty does. But it just highlights the fact that there are so many illicit weapons within the system, to the extent that a 15-year-old boy can be found holding a pump-action gun.
Crazy.
Pump-action guns are one of they are highly dangerous. The reason is because even if you don't know how to shoot, all you need to do is to point it in the right direction, because it spreads out. The bullet spreads out. It's not like a single shot that goes straight to a particular point.
Okay.
So, in fact, if you don't know how to handle a weapon, a pump-action gun is what you have, because you don't need to worry about aiming or whether you know how to shoot or whether you can see. All you need to do is to point in the right direction. That's it. So that's how dangerous these weapons are. Now, in this particular case, coming to your point, because we don't agree as a nation on the non-negotiables, that is why there's room for people to argue one side or the other. Today, we know that an ounce of gold is almost $5,000. What job can we create realistically in any community that has Galamsey where it will be more than that? It's not possible. The fact that it's not possible doesn't mean that everybody should run amok and do whatever they want as far as Galamsey is concerned. No. Because for any job that you can do that is lucrative, there's another job that is less lucrative. But people still do them because it still is able to feed you, your family, and take care of basic needs, which is what really we should be talking about, not the quantum or the amount involved, which is the arguments that people make as far as Galamsey is concerned. That, look, there's so much money in there, people are looking out to grab that, and it doesn't matter what kind of jobs you put in those communities. And it's true. And so that is why, again, Galamsey is also not just an economic issue. Because when you reduce it to economics alone, then it means that by the numbers, Galamsey should continue, because no other job can pay these young men and women the kind of money that they are hoping to get. Even though we know it's not everybody who's going to get that. Some of them will do this job for years and never make it. But it is an aspiration. They see in their communities some young people who have been able to break through. Basically, they have the houses, the cars, and so on, and then they're attracted to that. That's why they keep going into it. So it can't be reduced to economics alone. So that's on the one hand. Beyond the economics, we have to talk about the security angle as well. Enforcement. There's no day that we need to sleep on enforcing or fighting this galamsey menace. And the reason is because when you allow it, then impunity sets in, which is what I saw from the video that has been circulating about this particular community. Because when I saw the way the youth basically they came around the vehicle, you know, it shows you that there's no fear. And that is very dangerous in a country like Ghana, because one of our biggest selling points to the international community is that Ghana is a safe place. We hear and see things like this in other countries. Ghana, this shouldn't be happening. But when this begins to happen, it shows you that the impunity is setting. People are so, you know, foolhardy that essentially they can think that they can do this and get away with this. And that's what led to them surrounding the vehicle, and the police had to fire warning shots and so on. And even when the warning shots were fired, I realized that that's not what drove them. It's when they saw that one person had been shot. That's when you could see them scatter. The initial warning shots, they kind of just cowered a bit, but they were still around, you see. Which means that the security angle has to be dealt with consistently without any gaps as well. Then we now come to the environmental impacts, long-term impacts on us and our generation and generations to come. Trust me, a decade from now, we'll see diseases in this country that we've never seen before, or we'll see them in numbers that we've never had before because we didn't deal with the issue now. The impact in terms of trace minerals in our water, our food, and so on. Like, these are long-term effects. And in a country like Ghana, trying to break through from, you know, middle-income country, possibly want to get to first world and so on. When you do get there, all your funds, your money, your resources will be used to take care of health needs that are needless because we didn't deal with galamsey today. And so it is very critical that all parties be on the same page. And there needs to be some conversation around that, because whether it's NDC, MPP, CPP, all the others, we should have some non-negotiables that, look, this is a canker that is affecting our country. It will affect us today. It will affect our children tomorrow. How can we agree on some minimum elements of this fight? And everybody should be behind that, whether you're NDC or MPP, because when you go to the market to buy food where there's trace minerals in that food, nobody asks you whether you're MPP or NDC when they are. In fact, the trader doesn't even know what is in what they are selling. You see, so it is a national issue, and it will have impacts beyond Ghana. Last time, we know, for example, that this was mentioned on Bloomberg, where they were talking about gold prices and so on, and it came up that they said, look, in Ghana, we know that they are having serious issues and challenges with galamsey and how it will impact the chain. A time will come when there are some international bodies that may even not want to buy from Ghana because of the impact on people and so on. You know, the EU, for example, they are very big on the origins of things.
But they've been sounding the alarm bells.
They've been sounding the alarm bells, exactly.
Cocoa, and now they
Yes.
are to other agricultural produce.
Absolutely, because they have standards that they want met in terms of even the quality of the food and you know, the various minerals that we test in them. But that aside, they also have a big focus on the logistics chain. In other words, where did they originate from? How did they get to us? They are interested in ensuring
Traceability.
Yes, traceability. They want to trace to the origin and say that if this is how this mineral was obtained, we are not interested. And now that even has implications for institutions like Gold Board as well, because there's always the fear on the source of the mineral.
Could that be the reason why our gold, I mean, almost all of them were bought by India and Dubai?
Yes, they are the major purchases. India and the Emirates, yes.
Traceability.
Yeah, because perhaps they have different standards as far as traceability is concerned. Maybe the European Union will be more concerned about other things and so on. Yes, absolutely.
Like with the diamonds and the Kimberley process
and so on. Yeah, exactly. It's a way of certifying.
Yes, this health thing is really, it always bothers me a lot because like Norm was saying, I mean, look at the renal disease, look at the figures. They're shooting up, and the doctors keep telling us that this whole thing is linked, a huge part of it is linked to galamsey.
Galamsey.
And also I remember the professor who came from Kolebu talking about fetuses self-aborting.
Yes.
And even if they don't self-abort and you have the child, you're lucky if the child is healthy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, the children reaching puberty at 6 and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's very, very
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And people are still doing it. As we are speaking now, people are in the mines, mining away. I mean, no, it's too much. And are we waiting for the international community to police us, to boycott us, before we say, hey, you know, now and then our economy, everything will plunge into the, And that's when we take, why can't we do things for ourselves?
I bet you in the face of all of this,
it's too much.
if you go to someone's crib today, if an Ebusiapeni
Yes.
meeting with some people to see
Yes.
how can we get this galamsey
Yes.
to mine on our land.
Yes.
And that's why I agree with your greed.
Yes.
Because if you look at these people,
It's pure
just
greed.
It's
That's
nothing.
it.
Yes.
But they are thinking about how we can enrich ourselves today.
Yes.
And not even use it for the betterment of the community.
No.
But just
Their
us.
personal pockets.
So they drive, we buy a four-wheel drive.
Depreciating assets.
Exactly.
Ghana.
Yeah.
We are able to go to the fanciest restaurant and what have you to say we have reached.
Zero value add.
No. They don't
Zero.
think about the impact on the community.
No.
Impact on generations yet unborn.
No.
And what have you.
They don't
Sometimes
care.
I sit back and I'm like,
They don't
so you
care.
guys, do you really think at all? What's the thought process that go through your thinking?
They don't care.
Before you arrive at a certain decision that, okay, if this is the portion of land. Yes, I know there's gold in here. Yes, I know we can mine. But can we probably take our time and get a proper mining
License
to look
and
at it?
Because
nobody's saying don't mine, but mine responsibly.
Because
You
mining
know?
has been done in countries for centuries.
Centuries.
So, in fact, there's nothing wrong with mining. Mining has been happening for centuries.
But then
in fact,
discriminate.
exactly.
Part of it.
Exactly. Because
Use.
mining must be done sustainably. Must be done. There are standards for everything. You can use the water. There are ways of treating it. You can dig out the
Australia,
land.
South
you can,
Africa.
Exactly.
Huge
Reclaim the
mining
land.
countries.
In fact, a city like Johannesburg,
Huge
when you visit
mining,
Johannesburg,
yes.
you will not even know that that's a mining city.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the entire place is like our Obuasi.
This is it.
basically.
Same with
It's
Australia.
a mining city
Same
from
with
beginning to
Australia.
end. But it's how they've done it.
There's only a small
You see.
part that I saw this, they call it Kuala. Even that, they are trying so hard to regulate it. And so, though you see that there are elements of people trying to mine illegally, but it's done not in the magnitude we see.
No, it's not affecting the very essence of
So we should probably
the country.
but let's look at also, you are all lawyers, so help us. Some people argue that why did the police shoot to kill? Couldn't they have maimed the guy? I mean, I don't know, but you could help us understand, why that happened, because there are also people who argue that they should have taken into consideration you're not supposed to shoot to kill aspect of the whole policing.
When you look at the video,
They are killing.
things were getting out of hand, to be honest, because, I mean, from what I saw, first, the policeman who was on the driver's side,
Yes.
he did the warning
yeah.
shots. And I could
In
see
the air,
clearly
yes,
he
I
pointed,
saw that,
He
yes.
pointed up. Because
So
he
actually,
wanted
I
to-
didn't even see when the guy who died.
Yes.
I didn't actually see.
Yes, because the one filming was on this, basically capturing the driver's side, and then before we could see Jack, you could see now on the right side the guy was on the floor. So I saw that the policeman used the warning shots to get their attention. That look, the way things are going, the next step will be, he's giving them a warning
they
shot,
were still
that is
standing there.
that is standard procedure for the
still
police.
standing
It
there.
is appropriate to give the warning shots, to send a signal. But of course, if the people are still, there or the level of the threat and so on. And this is, we are told, for example, that they snatched a service weapon. That is serious. And that's why I made a point earlier about impunity. When there is impunity, people will feel that they can do anything. So we are not holding brief for the police. Indeed, every shooting that occurs in the police service, they do investigate it. And we expect an investigation in this instance as well. And we expect that whatever the outcome is communicated, just as the police have been doing consistently for some time now in terms of their media releases. And I even saw the one specifically on this incident. They have to. So investigation should be done. But when I look at the video, I could see that things were getting out of hand. And if this got out of hand because of, you know, a 15-year-old boy holding a pump action gun, and that quickly escalated to the point where a service weapon, we are told, was being snatched out of the hands of the police, they also had to defend themselves, and they have to take appropriate action to ensure that this kind of thing must be stopped. And if we don't deal with this menace, it will become we might get to a point where some point in the future, Ghana can become basically ungovernable. Okay. Because in countries where they are fighting about resources in this way, that's what happens. We've seen in the DRC, for example, the effects of, you know, the greed for resources and how it has fueled wars, rebel activity, wars, and so on. For decades, there have been wars. Even when they do have some form of stability, elect a president, before you realize there are new rebel groups, and all of them are fighting because of resources and so on. We know of countries, even just in the sub-region here, where there are some parts that are essentially a law unto themselves because of resources, you see. So if we don't keep this, we don't deal with this now, we don't address it decisively, the impacts and the long-term effects on Ghana will be quite dark.
It's organized crime, isn't it? It's organized crime.
Yeah. Dr. Korobonfe has also joined us here. Doc, your thought on this happening when civilians try to ambush the police, take rifles from them, but the police had to fight back to ensure that they are safe.
Well, Kwadu, I watched the video, and the scene is one that should draw us all to soberly reflect on where we are getting to as a country. I've had the opportunity to work and study in this area of work, the extractive sector, and leading a civil society organization. We've had contact with community people. At the heart of the issue is ownership of minerals that are mined, particularly in this case, gold. And I have maintained that if we don't do something about the legal regime on mining in Ghana, particularly bordering on ownership, which is still a colonial relic, we will not get anywhere. The minerals and mining law that we have in Ghana today, in terms of ownership, it says that ownership of minerals is the states, the people of Ghana. And that wherever a mineral is found, the state owns it, claims it, and the president acts in and on behalf of the people, holding in trust this ownership, and can send people there to go and mine. To the extent that when I'm sitting on my land, which by our very legal regime on land ownership, either by individuals or family, because a mineral is found there, I lose right over that land, that it can be, compulsorily acquired, except that some compensation must be paid to me. And the practice has been that even this compensation, which is supposed to be promptly and adequately paid, has not been complied with over time. How did that law come about? 1897, when the Crown Land Bill, by which the whites were trying to take over our lands, was defeated. They found a way. It was all in chase of our mineral wealth. They came and said that now we will not take over the lands. But if you find a mineral in the land, before you can exploit it or before you can go for it, you need permission from state authority. Fast forward, 1962, we had it in our post-independence arrangement. Professor L.K. Agbosu, whose PhD dissertation was in this area in 1980, has done an extensive work on this matter. Because the point is that if we don't change the arrangement where the people who own the land on which the mineral is found share in the ownership of the mineral, and by that get some direct proceeds, and not the way where we say, where we have it now, that royalties will be given to them, but they have a stake, and they will be interested in protecting it. If we don't have it, we will continue to have these problems coming back and forth. Two is the issue of the security arrangement or enforcement. We have empowered the police and resourced them with machines, guns, and other things to undertake certain constitutional duties. And we expect that when we have empowered them that way, they can feel threatened and they will do nothing about it. The impunity, and I heard my brother Long talk about it, is getting out of hand. How could anybody still be there when a warning shot has been given about 3 times? And we don't see what was happening on the other side. But if you listen to the voices, they were threatening the police. They were threatening. If you listen to the voice in the video on the other side. And I remember something that COP Kofi Boakye once said. That yeah, police were mama ya niema say yemfa mo ho ban. Say yentimi fa mo ho yentimi fa mo ya ho ban better than they abo mo ho ban. We should be able to protect ourselves too. You know, but I think that when somebody is running away from you, the question is whether you can shoot at the person.
But he had a gun. He had taken the gun, according to the report.
The person who fell, was he holding a gun?
Yeah, they said okay.
No, but the person who fell in the video.
They said
that's what they are saying. That's why.
So he says
there needs to be an investigation, even on what transpired.
Okay, so it says in the result.
The police has issued a statement.
Yes,
they've issued a statement.
It says in the resulting confrontation, the assailant, who had taken the weapon, was shot by the police, and another was injured. The service rifle was successfully recovered.
Okay.
So
there's more to what is in the video than
yes
we see. So what I would say is that the police, professional as they are, we trust that they will do some service inquiry to establish what really happened. But this must be a warning to the civilian population. Citizens must understand that policing rests with us too. The police, what is their population? They can't do their work without us. We must see ourselves as partners and friends. So if police, they are on their duty and you feel that they are doing something wrongly, that's why they have PIPs, the professional investigative body of the police. Yes, that you can report matters to them to go into it about the conduct of their personnel and do it. And I think that the police service too must pay attention to some of these things. And I know some of their professionals who undertake very, serious issues, these 9 months issues. The police who actually did the job have not been recognized. My investigations are pointing to that. It's something that the IGP may want to pay attention to. That those who actually do the work on the field don't get the needed recognition, but those who come thereafter for the cameras and whatever eventually get the show. It is not motivating enough for those who want to do the job. Lastly, I want to say this.
On that score, once I saw the police, the IGP now, reward some CI investigators that from the address you might not even think they are police personnel. So maybe we'll get there.
Well, from what I know, this, I'm just saying that let us give due to those who actually put themselves on the line to fight for doing things right. The last point I wanted to make is this. The careless and needless politicization of fighting wrong. It doesn't help anybody. What is happening today is pointing us all to one direction. That maybe we have been reckless and careless in our commentary on the fight against illegal mining in the past. It is not regime specific. And I have said that in my little investigations, I can tell you, Kojo, what is happening today is partly a legacy problem from years of impunity by people holding licenses and yet perpetrating wrong with their licenses. Because the area of mining is such that if you have a concession for this area and you travel 1 minute or 1 kilometer into or outside that territory, you are engaging in illegal mining. And yet you have those big mining companies going beyond their concessions, taking the law into their hands. And the state does nothing about that. The community people sit vulnerable, helpless. In some cases, we use state security, state police to go and harass the community people. It's happened over time. And so sometimes we should also look back and ask ourselves, what has been the history of mining regulatory activities in the country in protecting the people who sit on these mines? Okay. And we must remember, as far back as 1913, A.E. Kitson established a survey report that from the north to the south, east to the west, Ghana is sitting on gold. And so if we don't regulate and say that we will have no-go areas, we may end up mining our entire space.
Houses and everywhere.
Let's be careful. Yes, the mineral wealth is there, but we need to understand that it takes restraint and discipline to be able to manage resources in abundance as we have them. It has led to the downfall of nations, the rupture of the Songhai Empire, out of which grew, some of the nations in this country, or some of the people in this country, collapsed as a result of struggles or fight over gold and mineral wealth. So let's be guided.
This one says, good morning, Kojo. The guy had snatched a service weapon and therefore was armed. He could fire back if he was wounded. No wonder the policeman shot to at best to disable him. Unfortunately, he died. This is coming from Mr. Justice watching us this morning. Quite interesting. I hope that those whose lands have not been invaded yet will take a cue from all of this. But also one thing we've not looked at. What could be the role of drug abuse in all of this?
I keep talking about drug abuse and gambling, and all those things are interconnected. I think that drug abuse has become very, very pervasive in our society, and we don't talk about it enough. And we don't seem to think that it's actually destroying our youth. This red that people keep talking about, that makes them into zombies or thinking they are zombies. It's a very, 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 very serious problem. And I think we need to look at it. For me, that whole drug situation, drug abuse situation, and gambling, they are interlinked, and they are affecting a key part of our society, the future of our society, because these are young people, mostly in a certain age bracket, and some youth even, as we saw with this 15-year-old, for example. And there are people like that also gambling their lives away. Outside in the so-called developed countries, they take gambling addiction very seriously because it's linked to all these things. And they are trying to actually reduce gambling. And of course, the companies are being very, they are protecting the interests of their shareholders and their pockets. And they are now directing everything to Africa. So as they are getting rid of them over there, we are embracing them. And every time I see an advert for any form of gambling, I just shudder and think, why are people advertising these things here? And now I saw some one-line warning somewhere. And I'm like, oh my God, at least someone is saying that there's some, but that's not enough. Because, just as you have Alcoholics Anonymous, which is a support group for people with alcohol problems outside, they also have Gambling Anonymous or Gamblers Anonymous. over there, and serious support groups. And there are programs about how gambling has destroyed lives, and, you know, because people, drugs, gambling, very interconnected.
Okay.
You know, one leads to the other. It doesn't necessarily have to lead there, but more often than not, you see overlaps. And so for me, looking at the percentage of youth, the youth population that we have in this country, we have to take it extremely seriously,
okay,
because it's destroying us as a society. In fact, the things that are destroying us are so multiple. They're coming from all directions, and we really have to pay attention to it.
All right.
You know,
because of our time, we need to move on to other
Yes.
issues. Let's talk about the president saying that Ghana's economic turnaround has shocked all of us. Let me start with you, Dr. Bonfo, on this one.
Well, but quickly, I think there's something about this, what my sister Vicky said. Just a quick one. The issue of drugs, prostitution, and many other social vices, robbery, they come with this goal thing. Then there is this thing about the possibility of growing warlords. If you read the history of Charles Taylor, Fode Sanko, their emergence, it was through minerals. So let's be careful. And I did an article in 2005 warning that if we were not careful with how mining was being used as an excuse to harass people sitting on gold and mineral wealth, the likelihood that we're going to have warlords emerge like we had in Liberia and Sierra Leone.
that was serious.
And it is emerging. The national budget that we need to fight illegal mining is huge. And I can understand why we are having difficulties with it. But Mr. President's point, for me, spells two things. That the president is appreciating humbly that things have happened in a positive way beyond his own expectations. It's good riddance. We should thank God Almighty for that. But at the same time, it imposes a certain responsibility.
I'll give you 2 minutes on it because I've been warned about time.
That, Mr. President, we should continue to be measured in our expectations and be measured in our undertakings. And go with the words he gave as a New Year message to the New Year school. Unity. There is no better way to unity than to get rid of the triggers of disunity, among which conceitedness, hatred, selfishness, and wickedness. If we will be fidel and be righteous and faithful to the law and show love towards one another with the fear of God as the overriding principle, I am sure we will get there. And many more good things will happen under his reign as President of the Republic of Ghana.
All right, Vicky, you want to take a
Yes, I think, yes. I mean, the president is talking about the real macro gains, and I think we should all be proud. We should join him in celebrating our gratitude for what has happened to our economy, given where we were when he took over. We've had real macro gains. Inflation has fallen sharply. The cedi has stabilized, and I think it's the best performing currency in Africa right now. And international confidence is returning, so investors have started coming back home. What I would now say, last week I said he steadied the ship. It needed to be stabilized. Now we have to power it forward. And I think we need to now grow the economy and get to a point where we can feel it in our pockets. And they have to make sure that these gains, you know, the greedy vendors out there, they have to translate that into reducing prices and all that for all of our benefit.
Salia.
Yes, Kojo. I think that the context within which he made the comments are also very important because this was a Thanksgiving service. And I listened to his comments, and that particular part, he emphasized the fact that he's also thanking God for how far, because as for the economy, there are many triggers and there are many things you can put in place. So you expect certain outcomes, but it has been better than he anticipated, and that's why I believe he was thanking God. And we all should thank God because, and I made this point earlier, nobody knows in this economy whether you're in DC or MPP or CPP or wherever where you go to the market. People just want to buy food at reasonable prices. You should be able to pay for your rent. Yeah. You should be able to pay your electricity bills, fees, have a little fun now and then if you want to. So it is good that we are seeing the indicators drop. It's good that we are seeing the positive feedback. It's good that our international rating is better and everything. We thank God for that. But we have to keep pushing forward. And as Vicky said, in this year, we are hoping to even consolidate on those gains and do better so that everybody in the country will be happy. Okay. And Ghana will be the better for it. So,
all right. Yeah. But let's conclude with something big. We woke up to an announcement by the U.S. that they are withdrawing from the World Health Organization.
Okay.
World Health Organization itself says it therefore regrets the United States notification of withdrawal from World Health Organization, a decision that makes both the United States and the world less safe. Vicky, I'll start with you on this.
So, I mean, it worries me.
I'll give you 2 minutes. All of us take 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. It worries me. I guess the good news is that it doesn't take effect immediately. I think under the WHO rules, they have about a year to exit, and in that time, they must still honor their financial obligations. So it's a legal and procedural step. But what worries me is that the U.S. withdrawal is significant. It cannot be underestimated because they are one of the largest financial contributors to the WHO. So my worry is that it can weaken global disease surveillance and maybe reduce coordination in pandemic situations going forward. And there's a risk of fragmenting international health responses. And so, because, public health threats don't respect borders. They don't have passports. Yeah, look at what happened in Wuhan, and we all felt it globally, all over the world. You can't contain viruses within national borders. So I think the U.S. has every right to disagree with WHO, or every country has every right to disagree with organizations of which they are members. But I think walking away from it, global health cooperation carries collective risk for all of us. So I think the WHO should try and re-engage with the U.S. and to try and get them to stay, and help to reform it from within. I think that's a better response. And the way they are responding calmly is as if it's nothing, but it's huge. This is a huge thing, and really, if they can, I would like them to stay.
Okay, all right.
Well, I don't know, but United States under Donald Trump, the world is in for something. We all better brace ourselves for it. What I can say is to quote what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, and America should be the best country to take a cue from it, that we are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment called destiny. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. That is the world we live in. Will they pull out, do anything to change the direction of WHO? Yes, they may be a huge and major financier, but the truth of the matter is that no nation on earth today is indispensable.
Absolutely.
The trends are showing. They can pull out, but America will be the loser.
Sure.
I'll tell you. That's all I will say. You see, His Excellency Donald Trump must remember that he has a term. And beyond that term, it's a life. He came supported largely by the Christian community in America.
Yes.
Is that Christian?
That's not Christ-like.
I'm done.
Well, again, to start off from Donald Trump, he also ran on the agenda of America First.
Yes.
In other words, there are so many things at home that perhaps they were not paying attention to. And so, as we know, he won both the popular vote and the electoral college, which means there was a huge endorsement for that agenda as well. And since he did come into office, we've seen that clearly there's a plan to put the America First. So when I read recently the full report that he commissioned the Secretary of State to analyze all international organizations that the United States were part of and to recommend whether to leave or to remain, it's a significant number of institutions that are leaving. In fact, the WHO is indeed one of the big ones, but they are leaving tens of organizations at the international level because, in their view, they are no longer relevant to them. But we also can make the point quite clearly that the world today is more interconnected than ever before due to technology, logistics, chains, and all of that. And so it is also a bit strange and unwise to see that the United States is basically isolating itself. In the past, if you look over history, countries that isolate themselves essentially they crumble down at some point because people want the freedom to be able to experience and get opportunities from other places. The more you isolate yourself, the more there's internal agitation to open up and so on. And so for me, this is a step they've taken. It's quite unfortunate. The WHO intends to continue to engage them and so on. But the rest of the world, we should also take a cue from it and ensure that we are investing in our countries at the same time as we continue to pursue our international obligations.
I saw a statement from, I don't know if it's true, but I saw the page was attributed to Russia, and a statement from Vladimir Putin on the
on this matter. No, on Greenland, right?
And the innuendos and the way he went about, like, hey, somebody is
they are taking the cue. Yes. Other countries are taking the cue.
Anyway,
you can't ignore the geopolitics.
Okay. This one says, good morning, Samuel Brace. Very insightful and impactful input by your panel members, especially Dr. James Kwabena Bonfe Kapila. Illegal mining is something we shouldn't entertain as a nation. We have to be very ruthless and heartless in dealing with them. I choose shoot to kill as one of the best approaches in tackling Galamsey. Master planner in Kintampo brought this one in. Nana Ikuemo Boateng, watching us from Ablekuma Central, says, good morning, Sam. A very special birthday to Edna Mame Sewa Boama, political science student at University of Ghana. Do have a blissful day. Cheers. Nana Ikuemo Boateng again on that. I think I've read the other earlier message that came in. This one also says, Happy Earth Day. Please, I desire to wish my lovely daughter, Miss Emilia Abeka Edu Jr., who just completed UPSA, a happy and glorious birthday. She is +1 today. Therefore, I pray that she ages gracefully in divine wisdom, coupled with good health, long life, and abundant blessings and prosperity. Amen. Thank you very much. But and that's coming from my own uncle, Uncle Abekedu, Uncle Mike Abekedu of Axim. Well, thank you very much for my panel. Dr. James Kwabena Bonfe Kabila is lecturer at UPSA and CEO of Census. Lawyer Vicky Bright is a lawyer and an entrepreneur. And also we have today Lom Nuku Alija Esquire. He's a lawyer and a lecturer at GIMPA as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you too for watching. We'll take a break here. We have a lot for you here on the show. Please do stay.